One of the most underestimated qualities of intelligence is the ability to disengage from battles that serve no meaningful purpose. An intelligent person understands that not every argument is worth their time, energy, or peace of mind. It's easy to be pulled into a debate, especially when someone challenges your beliefs, questions your intentions, or attempts to provoke a reaction. But intelligence does not react out of impulse. It reflects before it responds and often chooses not to respond at all. There's a difference between standing up for truth and being dragged into emotional warfare. Intelligent people have learned that the need to win every argument is, in itself, a subtle form of insecurity. It's an attempt to be right in the eyes of others instead of being right with oneself. They don't need to convince everyone because they know who they are. They don't crave validation through conflict. Many arguments exist solely to satisfy ego. The need to dominate, the hunger to appear superior, and the fear of being wrong are all symptoms of a mind not yet at peace with itself. An intelligent person sees through that pattern. They recognize that people often argue not to understand, but to impose. In such cases, engaging becomes a waste of breath. Wisdom lies in knowing when to speak and when silence carries more weight. There's a quiet power in restraint, in walking away without the need for a final word. Intelligent individuals conserve their energy for things that matter: progress, solutions, and growth. They know that the price of being right can sometimes be too high if it costs your peace, your clarity, or your time. Furthermore, intelligent people understand emotional control. They don't let someone's ignorance provoke them into emotional chaos. They've trained themselves to observe instead of react. When someone throws accusations or criticism, they don't automatically feel the need to defend themselves. Their worth isn't tied to someone else's misunderstanding. They evaluate whether the situation warrants a response, and in most cases it doesn't. Most arguments are loops with no end, where both parties are speaking but no one is listening. The intelligent mind rises above that cycle, not by force, but through understanding. They also recognize the illusion of changing someone's mind through confrontation. Beliefs rooted in ego or ignorance are rarely altered by logic or reason alone. The intelligent person plants seeds of truth through calmness and example, not by battling to be heard. They understand influence doesn't come from overpowering someone with intellect, but by embodying the truth in such a way that others are drawn to examine their own perspective. Even when they must address a wrong, they do so with poise and precision, not with noise. There's strength in choosing stillness over chaos, discernment over reaction. The mind that can walk away from provocation is a mind that has mastered itself. It sees the trap and avoids it. It knows that getting the last word means nothing if it robs you of your inner stillness. That's why intelligent people avoid pointless arguments. They know how valuable their time, peace, and clarity are. They guard their focus because they know that energy wasted on nonsense is energy lost from their purpose. In the end, intelligence isn't about how fast one can reply, how sharp the words are, or how many arguments one can win. It's about choosing what is worth engaging in. It's about the humility to let go of battles that don't elevate anyone, and the self-awareness to know that silence is not defeat. It's often the loudest display of strength. By avoiding pointless arguments, intelligent people protect their mental space and remain anchored in their power, never losing themselves to the noise around them. One of the clearest markers of intelligence is the conscious refusal to chase validation from those who have not earned the right. Define your worth. Intelligent people have learned, often through painful experience, that trying to be seen, liked, or accepted by everyone is a futile pursuit. They understand that no matter how pure your intentions are, some people will misunderstand you. No matter how much value you offer, some will choose to overlook it. And no matter how hard you work to please others, there will always be those who remain unimpressed. This realization leads to an internal shift. The intelligent person stops running after applause and starts walking in self-assurance. They no longer mold themselves to fit into spaces where their light is too bright for dim minds. They no longer adjust their voice to soothe the insecurities of those who feel threatened by their presence. Instead, they begin to live according to their own standards, measuring progress by alignment, not attention. Validation from others becomes irrelevant when you are anchored in your identity. Intelligent individuals operate from a place of grounded self-awareness. They know their values, they trust their process, and they accept that approval is not a requirement for purpose. They do not seek permission to be who they are. Their inner compass is not swayed by the noise of the crowd because they have learned to listen to the stillness of their own truth. While others are busy performing for attention, the intelligent person builds in silence, grows in solitude, and lets the results speak louder than words ever could. They are not desperate to be seen because they understand that those who are meant to see them will, without manipulation, without begging, and without altering their essence. There's a certain emptiness in the validation chase that intelligent people can sense early on. They recognize that praise, while it may feel good in the moment, is fleeting and conditional. The same people who cheer for you today might criticize you tomorrow. The same hands that clap for your success might point fingers at your mistakes. That's why intelligent people are cautious about relying on the opinions of others to define their sense of self. They appreciate genuine support, but they don't depend on it. Their confidence comes from within, not from the reactions of the crowd. They're not arrogant, they're just aware. They know that the need for constant external affirmation is a silent confession of internal emptiness, and they have chosen to fill that emptiness not with applause, but with authenticity. This doesn't mean intelligent people isolate themselves emotionally. It means they discern where their emotional energy goes. They don't try to force connections, prove their value to skeptics, or remain in spaces where their presence is tolerated instead of celebrated. They let go with grace, knowing that trying to win people over who are committed to misunderstanding them is a distraction from their purpose. This self-preservation is not bitterness, it's clarity. The intelligent person protects their mental and emotional boundaries because they understand that not everyone deserves access to their heart, mind, or presence. They are selective, not because they think they are better than others, but because they've learned how costly it is to allow the wrong people too much influence over their sense of self. Moreover, intelligent people realize that their worth is not negotiable. It's not something that fluctuates based on how others respond to them. Whether they are celebrated or ignored, they remain the same. Their mission does not change. Their value does not decrease. They no longer perform to be accepted because they've embraced the reality that they were already enough before anyone noticed them. They've stopped shrinking to fit into boxes and have chosen instead to expand into the fullness of who they were always meant to be. So they move differently. They speak with calm certainty, not with the desperate tone of someone begging to be heard. They create from a place of internal alignment, not from a place of trying to prove themselves. They build relationships based on mutual respect, not on the unstable foundation of needing constant validation. And perhaps most powerfully of all, they don't resent those who don't see their value. They simply release them and move forward. Their focus is on becoming, not impressing. To chase validation is to hand your power to others. To stand in your truth without needing to be seen is to reclaim that power. Intelligent people make this choice over and over again. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. They understand that their time, energy, and emotional stability are too precious to be spent convincing others of their worth. They've already convinced the only person that matters, themselves. And that unshakable self-approval is what makes them unbothered, unshaken, and unstoppable. One of the most powerful decisions an intelligent person makes is choosing to be fully present rather than scattered across distractions, illusions, and imagined futures. In a world obsessed with speed, noise, and endless multitasking, presence has become a rare and underrated form of intelligence. Intelligent people understand that being everywhere mentally while being nowhere fully is a recipe for chaos, confusion, and inner disconnection. They realize that no matter how fast you move or how much you achieve, if your mind is absent from your moments, your life remains shallow. So, they train themselves to slow down, not because they lack ambition, but because they want to experience life with depth, clarity, and purpose. Presence is not about doing less. It's about doing what matters with full attention, undivided focus, and complete awareness. Living in the present allows an intelligent person to engage with reality as it is, not as they fear it might be or wish it were. They don't waste their emotional energy replaying the past or worrying about a future they cannot control. They see those as mental traps that pull them away from the only place where life actually happens, right now. That doesn't mean they don't plan, prepare, or learn from past experiences. It means they don't dwell. They don't let their minds be hijacked by regrets or anxieties that rob them of current peace. They make room for mindfulness because they know that a distracted mind is a vulnerable mind. Intelligence teaches them that mastery over life begins with mastery over attention. Where your focus goes, your life flows. If your focus is scattered, so is your energy. And if your energy is scattered, your potential remains locked behind fog. There's a subtle strength in being present that most people overlook. It's not loud, it's not attention-seeking, but it's deeply effective. Intelligent people pay attention, not just to others but to themselves. They observe their thoughts. They monitor their reactions. They listen to the tone of their inner voice. Presence gives them the ability to catch themselves before they spiral, to redirect their energy when negativity creeps in, and to respond rather than react when challenges arise. This level of awareness keeps them centered, calm, and in control, even when the world around them is unstable. It allows them to move with intention instead of impulse. They don't just exist, they engage. And because of this, they can see opportunities others miss. They notice small details. They remember important things. They create deeper connections. All because they are truly here, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Intelligent individuals understand that living in a constant state of distraction is a slow form of self-abandonment. Every time you choose to scroll instead of reflect, to react instead of pause, or to run instead of sit with your emotions, you chip away at your connection to yourself. Presence is the antidote to that erosion. It's what brings you back to your power, your clarity, your truth. That's why intelligent people guard their attention. They are cautious with what they consume, who they spend time with, and where they direct their mental energy. They know that the quality of your focus determines the quality of your thinking, and the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. So they protect their presence like a sacred treasure. They disconnect from noise so they can reconnect with themselves. Being present also enhances decision-making. When your mind is still and your attention is sharp, you see through confusion, you sense what feels right. You discern what's out of alignment. Intelligent people don't make rushed decisions just to escape uncertainty. They sit with discomfort until wisdom rises. That patience, that stillness is a product of presence. They don't need constant stimulation or distraction to feel alive. They've learned that the most powerful moments often come in silence, in observation, in simple awareness. The world may glorify the hustle, but intelligent people quietly lean into the now. And that's where their strength comes from, not from doing more, but from being more. Presence is not always easy. It requires discipline to pull your mind back when it wanders, to resist the urge to numb discomfort, and to choose depth in a world of surface. But intelligent people commit to this practice because they know it is the foundation of all growth, all creativity, all inner peace. They don't need to be everywhere, impress everyone, or chase everything. They choose to be here. They choose to show up with their full mind, heart, and soul, and in doing so, they gain an edge that cannot be replicated by those lost in distraction. Ultimately, presence is a mindset. It's a way of moving through the world with clarity, intention, and peace. An intelligent person avoids the temptation to be scattered, overstimulated, and constantly pulled into 100 different directions. Instead, they reclaim their power by anchoring themselves in the moment, and from that place of awareness, they create, connect, and make decisions that are not only wise but deeply aligned with who they truly are. That is the brilliance of presence. It brings the intelligent person back to themselves again and again, no matter how loud the world becomes.